All right, we are up and running. Guys, we're here on YouTube as well as Instagram. So if you guys have preference on what you guys want to watch, whatever, but we're here. I got Eric Easter, I got Tyler Coakley, Mr. Troy Inky, and myself. Josh couldn't make it, had some family in, so hope he's enjoying them. But just got done at Table Rock West. A little bit different this year as far as location and all that. And I think, I don't know, seems like everybody was kind of mixed feelings. I'm certainly excited about it. So, but that's just me. But should be it'll be interesting to see what we get into tonight. But Eric, we're going to start this thing off with you. You had the trash pot. Um, I think it's the second tournament that Robert Swearinger has been knocked off the trash pot. So anytime we can get some secrets to the trash pot, we're always take it. But you had a massive gar, man.
Yeah, I did. I think it was around 40 inches actually.
That's awesome, man. How'd you catch it?
I was just rolling down the bank and he came up to gulp air in front of me, and I cast about 5 yards in front of him and put two cranks on it and felt felt it get heavy, so I just kind of leaned back on it and he just took off, man. Like jumping nonstop. I ended up netting him as he was jumping right next to the kayak, and then just headed in to the bank, which that took a while, man. Like in reality, he had my favorite crankbait for the day, so I had to get it back. So that was like the main goal. But then I thought to myself, it's a money fish, so why not try to get it? So, but yeah, once I got to the bank, I was able to take Rapala fish grips and put them over his beak, and then kind of hold him there and just get the hooks out. And then I had a lure wrap, which whenever I carry my poles in my car, those like plastic lure wraps you put over treble hooks. Well, I left that in the kayak, so I just reached down and grabbed that and wrapped it around his beak, and it was easy to go after that.
That is awesome, man. Did you do you have a musky net? Is that how you got it in the net, or is it
Pretty
just like
much, yeah. Like I've been struggling with nets lately. I just had that Yak Attack leverage net, and it wasn't working for me. So I literally just bought a new net before this trip, and yeah, it was a lot bigger and just happened to work out good.
how often do you sign up for the trash pots? I don't ever sign up for them.
That's the thing. It just depends on the lake. Like, uh, what was it? We just did Stockton. I didn't sign up for Stockton, but Table Rock, I just felt it, so I went for it.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. What'd you end up winning? Was it $100?
Yeah, 100 bucks. Felt good.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. Um, did you? I think you won one of the raffles. What'd you
Yeah,
end up getting?
yeah. I got some Crocky Gator stuff. I got a couple Swamp Bugs. I think I got Swamp Bug Junior too, and I forgot the other one. It might have been like an F bomb style, but I love the Crocky Gator stuff. I use the shaky heads all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I think you and Tyler also. You guys both won some crop gator stuff, so it's always cool getting stuff from our sponsors and whatnot, and appreciate all that from Croc Gator.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, man. Are you gonna head down to Wapapello?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Are you gonna fish the KS event as well, or are you just gonna do Moyak? What are you
More
thinking?
than likely, I think I am. Like I've been teeter tottering on it, but I don't see why not. And it looks
Yeah.
pretty cool. So
Yeah. I was fortunate to go to the classic, and I didn't get to fish, but I went down there and hung out with the guys. And Eric hit me up there, and he's
yeah,
like, "Man, I got a broken rudder. I gotta get this fixed." And he was
yeah,
freaking out, and
I was.
fortunately, I had everything he needed. And
Yeah,
he's like, "Man, thank you so much." But that's always one of those stories like me and you always have because like I was there, I was able to help you. Fortunately, I had everything we needed, and I think you were a little stressed out more than you thought it would be, but it was a pretty simple fit. How's the rudder cable hanging up or
a
holding up?
lot. It's so good now, man. Thank you so much for that. You saved that whole trip for real.
That's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I've told that story several times now.
Yeah, man. Well, you stay in here and hang out. We'll talk to Mr. Inky for a bit. Talk to him about his day on Table Rock West. But feel free to jump in and ask questions. Mr. Inky, Mr. Website Moyak man, the AOI points analyst man, the the guy behind the curtain. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing well. It's good to finally catch a check. It's been a long year. Like you said, it's a rebuilding year for me. I think this is year 5 or 6, and it's been for the last 3 years. I can't win. I can't win out of state, and I can't win after. I can't win before Memorial Day for some reason. I start my season in June. I should just not fish until June, because that seems to be the way it works out for me. But next year's my year. I'm gonna dominate the spring. No, I had a good tournament. I caught fish pretty much all day. Got on a shad spawn early. I mean, right off the bat, there was a shad spawn, and it was one of the most dramatic shad spawns I'd ever seen. I could hear it 100 yards behind me coming down the shore. And the whole shore from 4 feet out was boiling with shad, little shad flickering and things busting off. And then it passed me. And then all of the bushes that were flooded around me started blowing up. There were fish in every bush. And so I couldn't get to them fast enough. So, it's just chaos. And I was praying, don't backlash or don't get hung up, please. And it's just after daylight. Lights are still on, and I'm casting, and I'm working a popper close to shore, and I immediately hook up with like a 15, get it on the board, measure it, dunk it out, and then this big bush that's next to me, like 15 feet away, there are fish blowing up inside this bush. So I ease over to it, and I've got this much line on my popper and my rod, and I kind of set it over by the bush, and I'm just doing this number, and boom, something hits it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, another 15. So I start reeling it, and then it starts taking line. And I've only got like 12-pound test line on this thing, and I'm right next to the shore, and I got a bush here. I got my kayak, I got my XI3 in the water, I got all this debris, all real close. And I look down, and it's a 20. It's a monster, and it's going underneath the kayak and jumping, and it's coming back over here. And finally, I got it in, got on the board, fortunately, and that really kickstarted my day. I caught one more like a 15 or 16 incher off that bank, and then it just died. It died for like, I don't know, another 45 minutes. So I moved on down the bank, and there was somebody sitting on the point that I really wanted to start on, somebody in a bass boat. And so I went. I was fishing south of Viola, south of the Kings River Marina. I was in the Kings River Arm, and I went to this channel swing, and there was a little cut off of it, maybe 100 yards deep, and I picked up the Chad shad, and I threw it down the bank. The sun hasn't come up yet, but it's still dark. I hit it twice, and a giant comes up and gets it. I get about 3 cranks on it, and it jumps and spits it. So I'm like, okay, well, at least I know there are fish here. I continue down the bank, go into the back of the pocket. It's full of brush and debris and laydowns and stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And I go back like this to cast the Chad shad, and it comes off and lands in 8 foot of water. And so now I've lost an 18 plus. I've lost a $65 or $60 Chad shad. But I've got 3 fish in my limit, so I'm good. I'm good, right? So I change up, and I put a fluke on, and I just go down the bank. I just start trash fishing the rest of the day. And I picked up fish like every 20, 30 minutes. I tried a whopper plopper, as I do. I tried buzzbait, couldn't get anything on any of those. The only thing that really worked for me was a white fluke and that popper. And then late in the day, I had a white spinnerbait, an Accent River Special spinnerbait, 1/2 ounce, that started putting some fish in the boat. And with an hour left to go, I pulled up to this flat that was in the middle of a corner, a channel swing, and it had some laydowns. And earlier this year and late last year, it was too low for any fish to be holding on those laydowns, but I remembered them. And now I could just see the tips of the laydowns on this flat. So I went to each one. There were 3 or 4 on this flat that I could see. And if I would have had forward-facing sonar, I could have seen all the ones that I remember being there. But so we got to talk about that soon. But the last one that I hit was in about 5 feet of water, and I caught a 14.75 out of it. And I was anchored there with my XI3, and I cast again, and something heavy got onto it. I reeled it up, got it in the net, put it on the board, 18.75, went to take the picture, and out it went. That would have given me a 4-inch upgrade. It was your day, my friend. It was your day. So hats off to you. Congratulations. You win. And I'm second loser. But I had a good time.
Man, you told me that story, and I was like, holy smokes. And it was kind of, stressful because Josh left the leaderboard up this time.
Yeah.
And it was like, there's no surprise, it's like, and I kept checking and I was like, I got to stop checking this. But it's crazy how some of that stuff works out. And sometimes it's your day and sometimes it's not. But
yeah.
Troy, everyone at check-in, they're always stoked to see you because you come with these 2 big coolers and adult beverages, and we got a new sponsor for this year, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, we worked really hard in the off season. This is it's been a rough year for sponsors, and a lot of people, a lot of businesses are hurting, and a lot of places are closing down. But I canvassed the area trying to find us an adult beverage sponsor, and 4x4 answered the call. And 4x4 Brewing has 2 locations here in Springfield area. They've got one down in the Galloway Station area, and then they've got one here really close to the house, which is Dangerous, in Fremont Hills. And it's brand new, it's beautiful. It's right next to Fremont Hills Golf Course, and it's right on CC. It's really easy to get in and out of. And they've stepped up, and they're giving us 2 cases of beer for every live event. And so we're really happy with that, and try to return the favor by giving them some business whenever we can. So we also picked up another new sponsor from the West Coast out of California called Danu Paddle Gear. And if you need any paddle leashes or anything, if you're a recreational kayaker that is not really focused on fishing, but you like just paddling, check out Danu. It's DANUU, Danu Paddle Gear, and they'll help you out. Outside of that, another big sponsor that we got, we're going to plug sponsors. I'm all about that. LMNT, Element Hydration Salts, gives us 200 packs, sample packs, and each sample pack has 5 of their varieties of hydration salts. And as we're going down to Wappapello, I hear that the mosquitoes hate salt. So the more of that stuff you drink, the better off you're going to be. But they're giving us 200 free samples of their product, and you add that to a bottle of water, and it'll help keep you hydrated throughout the day. So those are my plugs.
Yeah, honestly, that Element I've enjoyed. The sample packs are great. I brought one, and Sarah's like, "These are so good. Where did you get these?" She's like, "Just keep bringing them." She loves them. They've got some really good flavors.
My wife takes all of the chocolate salt ones out. She steals them all. So I'll bring a couple of them home, and she'll steal those. But I did take one of those tonight. I had like a protein drink, chocolate protein drink. That I put one of those chocolate salt ones in it, and that just plussed it up to the next level. So I got 30 grams of protein and 1,000 milligrams of sodium, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah, man. No, it's cool. So let's do this. Eric, have you had any of the 4x4 beers at the check-ins?
No, I have not yet.
Where have you been, man?
In the back, I guess. I don't know, man.
So, Tyler, did you have any last time or any of the events?
Yeah, I usually grab one or two.
Which flavor did you get?
The same one you had, that cinnamon roll one.
Oh, that sticky buns?
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, that pineapple one was really good. Like smooth, good. Troy, what about you? What's one of your favorite flavor for them?
So far, that sticky buns. It's like dessert, a beer dessert in the can. It's good. But yeah, I had the grapefruit one at Lake of the Ozarks, and it wasn't quite hot enough for that kind of a shandy kind of a thing. But I've got a feeling that in July that's going to come in handy if they give us some of that.
Yeah. No, good stuff. All right, really appreciate our sponsors this year. I've talked about that 4x4 quite a bit, and I know we got more other sponsors, but it's kind of nice to have an adult beverage after a long day on the water. But Mr. Coakley, tell us about it, man. You we got to team up, and I know we talked a bit, right after you got off the water, so we kind of knew where we were at. But tell us about your day, man.
Yeah, so I went down, and kind of just hung out with the wife and kid for the most part. But I was able to get off the water a little bit and kind of check out an area. Wasn't really seeing fish or any action. So once our little catch deal was available to go check in, I went and checked in, set the wife and kid up, and I went back to a different area, check out for about an hour. I started throwing my glide around and pulled a couple real big fish up. And I pulled it away from them, didn't let them eat it. But I knew there were some big fish in the area, so that kind of made up my mind where I was going to go in the morning. I planned on launching where I did in the morning and making a long run down to a point. And there was one little bitty point that was like 200 yards from the boat ramp. And I thought my boat ramp was going to be loaded with kayakers for this event. And only 2 other guys launched, and they went the other way. So as I was getting ready to cross past this point, right at takeoff, same thing. There's a big shad spawn going. There's fish blowing up. They're all in the bushes and everything. So I just spot locked and waited almost 30 minutes there, just itching to make that first cast. And finally, the tournament started, and it was every cast I was getting a bite. Lost 2 of them. They weren't real big, but got a couple on the board. Went around the corner. Then I did hook up on a big largemouth. Lost that one. He jumped in through the Chapo. And after that, things kind of went quiet, but I just kept that top water in my hand during that low light period since we had those storms rolling in. Quite a bit of cloud cover. Figured I could pick a few more off, so I just put the XI3 on high and was just flying down the bank. Ended up filling my limit pretty quick. Then I made it down to a bigger cut and went back in there. And I didn't really plan on going back all the way to the backs. I didn't feel like the fish would really be all the way back in there. And I picked up my glide bait. I was like, well, I'll search around back here, see if I can get anything moving around and stir it up. And a few casts in, I ended up hooking up with that 19.5 that I caught, which is my big fish. He headshot it and choked my glide bait pretty good. So I kind of got me keyed in on the glide bait bite. So I kept that in my hands for a while. And it seemed like there was about a 2-hour window there where every fish was committing to the glide, eating it pretty good. And then I kind of stayed on the glide a little longer than I probably should have because the sun came out and I kept throwing it and I was pulling up big fish and they were just kissing at it, not really getting the hooks. And pretty slow the rest of the day. All my action was kind of in the morning after that glide bait bite died out. I think I might have culled 1 or 2 more times small fish. And then I seen you caught the big one, passed me up by an inch, and I was scrambling, throwing everything. And just could not. I caught 2 more smallmouth that were. I actually thought I had a 14.5 was my small fish, and I caught a 15 and a 15 and a quarter. So I thought I passed you up by a 1/4 inch. So I submitted it and everything, and I was all pumped up. And I ended up looking. I'm like, oh dang, I already had a 15 and a quarter for the small. So that took the wind out of my sails. And then after that, alarm went off. Tournament was over. But yeah, all my action was really in the morning. And then once that sun came up, it seemed like everybody really struggled.
I've thrown a glide bait on like smaller conservation lakes, and I found confidence in there. I haven't found that at bigger lakes, but it seems like you really lean on that bite. Is it just because you've thrown it so much and you're confident in it, or is it because it's just one of those things like?
Because whenever I fish, I'm usually fishing for like 8 bites throughout the whole day. I just make sure I try to capitalize on them. I don't know. I don't really need to catch 100 fish when you only need 5 good ones to be towards the top, just as long as I fish clean.
What's the weight?
Last year, pretty much all I took was glides and big baits, and it really kicked me in the butt multiple tournaments because I lost multiple. I hooked the fish to win almost every tournament, but I just couldn't keep them on last year for whatever reason. Just kept throwing it.
What were you saying, Troy?
What's the weight of your bait and what size line do you use? I'm looking for a new line because I've thrown 3 Chad Shads off, the Spro Chad Shads off in the last 2 months.
I throw a 20-pound Abrazex, and my glide I make the Butcher is 2.5 ounces. Is
that fluorocarbon or is it a copoly or what is it?
Fluoro.
Okay, you don't find that it stretches and gets thinner throughout the day? Do you have to retie every hour?
I retie like every hour.
Every hour, okay.
Or if my line touches anything, or even if I think it touched, I'll check it and retie because you will cast. I mean, that's how most guys lose their glide baits is casting them off.
Yeah.
I've casted plenty off, especially being in a kayak. If you're laying your rod up at the front of your kayak quite a bit and you're reeling it up and hitting that knot quite a bit on your eyelet. Yeah. You'll throw that thing off pretty quick.
Yep, that hurts.
Yeah. My fair share.
What kind of rod? I mean, what do you like? I know like some of the glide baits I've thrown, like I'm on a like extra heavy, like 7.6, 8 foot rod. But a lot of like the Chad Chads and probably the Butcher, you probably don't need a super beefy rod, do you?
I throw it on I have a Lew's Super Duty. It's like a
That's what I
7
got.
sleeve, and then I'm usually throwing my Butcher and kind of those medium sized glides on the 8 foot Leviathan. It's just a medium heavy rod. And the glide bait, they're not all. These baits aren't all that heavy for. You don't really need an extra heavy rod or anything too crazy.
Are there any? Is Chum Glides your brand?
Yes.
Are there any coming out soon?
Yep. I got a whole batch of them laying right here in front of me.
I've watched, and you're Chum Boys, right? That's your YouTube channel. I've watched you on rivers, and you throw a smaller, like a more compact. It seems like it's more compact. Is it? Is a smaller one for the river?
Yeah, this one.
Okay. Yeah, and you have some of those coming available?
Yep, that's what's coming next. Monday at 6 p.m.
Monday at 6 p.m.
Yep.
Set your alarms. Set your alarms. Did you win any raffles or anything, Tyler?
Yeah, I won those Crackigator. I won some tubes and some shaky heads.
Nice, man. Nice. That's awesome.
I also, right before this tournament, I signed up for the Bait Cave Customs Contingency Program, so I got another $50 coming for that. So
there you go.
Yeah,
I knew there was something going on there when you asked me, like, you signed up for it, right? And I'm like, no, I didn't. What am I missing? And you're like,
it would have been $1,000 in your pocket.
Oh, man.
And if you would have signed up for motion fishing contingency with Moyak, I think it would have been another $500. So, you're going to spend money on jigs. Bait Cave has a little $100 glide bait. They've got all kinds of other stuff, other plastics that you're going to use anyway. You might as well get in the contingency program, guys. It's going to pay off. So,
left money on the table. Unbelievable.
Yep.
All right, let's flip it. All three of you guys are the hosts, and let's start with you, Eric. You can ask whatever you want about my day, and we'll go from there.
Wow. Okay. What time did you do most of your damage, really?
So really, it was like everybody else. It was morning till like 11 noon. I think I caught that big one like middle of the day. And what I was doing is I was in like Monday, Friday. I found them off points, main lake points. I found them schooled up. I found them just like suspended, and that was my deal. Like I'm gonna go just point to point to point. And so like Friday, I was consistently doing that like all day long. I still caught fish in the afternoon, but most of my fish were in the morning time before like 11. But like I said, I was finding points that had really steep stuff, that had some standing timber occasionally. But a lot of those fish were suspended and they were schooled up. And the only way I could tell that is because I have, forward facing sonar. I know, some people hate it, love it, spotlight or not, that's what I was doing. I've leaned on that a lot this year, and I probably screwed myself over a couple times, like at Truman and some other places. But like I think this event played well for me for that. So morning time, just like everybody else, kind of.
Yeah. You want me to ask another question here?
Or Tyler or Troy, you guys got anything? What do you guys want to know?
I know mostly about your day, being that we were part.
You caught fish most all day?
Yeah, I mean, I can consistently caught fish. In the afternoon, I went to a bluff. The bluff had like standing timber off of it, and there was like, I would just cast at that point, I was just casting a standard timber. I was throwing this little Damiki jig head minnow, whatever you want to call it. This is the VMC sleek jig head. That one's a 1/4 ounce, but that's that
big crappie jig. You're crappie fishing.
It's a big crappie jig. That's a 4.5 inch crappie jig there. But this is what I've thrown, and like the thing that I found, like I would swim it and jig it and all that, but they really wanted it just like falling down, almost like a dead shad. So like on that standing timber, like I could see like bait suspended above it, and there would be smaller like Kentucky bass underneath the bait, but if I could get my jig head like through those and through the Kentucky, like it would always, like usually it was a better bite. Like there was some that I casted at like in the middle of like a little creek or off a point that I was like solely just targeting those. But every time like I'd go to swim it, they just come up and look at it and they take off. And I was like, good grief, come on, just give me one, one more good bite. And it just happened late. I got in the middle of a creek and there was a big laydown. It was probably 40, 50 feet of water. And I was just swimming it over it. And I kind of just stopped and kind of gave up. And then next thing I knew, it was just pull and drag. I threw it on I think it's 12 or maybe 15-pound braid with a 8-pound leader. And I don't know. I've played around with a lot of these jig head minnows, like the Sakamata shad, a lot of these freeloaders. I just got some of the Raid roller heads, but it seems like everyone's talking about that minnow like shimmying side to side, and that's seems like it's been working a little bit better. Now, does it really? I don't know. I did notice that like this color here. Let me grab. So like I threw this color in practice a lot, and this color is the gizzard shad, and they would follow it like crazy, but I couldn't get them to commit. But it was the albino shad. You can see like this one's a little bit different, still kind of like a 2, like laminate, a little bit more shiny, but they wanted this like smoke clear color. For whatever reason, they would eat this one better. Like I even tried some different jig heads, but that 1/4 ounce seemed like it was working the best. And I don't know, like I'm no jig head minnow expert or forward facing, like I'm still like dabbling in this stuff, but I feel like I've like put a lot of time into just doing that, and it may not pay off the rest of the tournaments. But like even that, Tyler, we talked afterwards. He's like, "Did you upgrade? Did you upgrade? Did you call anything?" And I was like, "Maybe, maybe not." And I was like, "No, I didn't." But like even that 22 incher, I couldn't tell it was a big fish, initially, and that's always interesting on forward facing sonar.
Yeah, sometimes it depends on what.
Say that again.
Sometimes it depends on what direction the fish is taking.
Yeah.
They'll look like a small fish. You'll get them to turn, and all of a sudden you see a gap in between their tail and the rest of their body. Kind of that's how you tell if it's a real big one or not. But I guess were your fish real bitey? Were you seeing fish all day?
I could consistently go to like points and find fish on there. They were suspended out there. I don't know, like later in the day, I kind of got away from some of the points because like some of the points weren't like what I was targeting. And so like I went to like the bluff and I could find them on that standing timber. And I don't know if it's just because of like maybe the boat traffic or the sun coming up, but they were just, you could tell they were hugged to those standing timber because I'd throw it and it would drop, parallel or perpendicular with the standing timber, and you just see them come out and eat it. But yeah, like my consistent bite through practice, the only time that it changed, and I tried to fish a dock. It was like 9-10 o'clock. I came to this dock and I found them on Monday. They were on the actual cables of the dock, like off the dock. And in practice or Monday, I saw them like busting out there, and I couldn't get them on a spook. I couldn't get them on a moving topwater or anything like that. And that's when I just, started live scoping them, but I could get them, going on the, on the jig head minnow. But like I said, it had to be like almost dying right to them and making like solid casts. And, I will say like with forward facing sonar, that's helped a lot. Like making consistent casts, like you've got to really like do that, knowing how far you're throwing it and where you want to put it and stuff like that. So, I feel like my that's helped me a lot in that sense. But is forward facing sonar the answer? I don't know. I've completely bombed with it, and I've done well with it, obviously. So
yeah.
How would you say it has improved you're obviously starting to cash some checks, so we're seeing an improvement, and I'm assuming you're using it every time out. in every tournament you fished in the last year and a half, you've used it. So would you say it's played a role, a 50% role, 80, 100% role in your increased success? Or is that just part and parcel with how many hours you put on the water since you just started this, a few years ago?
I definitely think it's like anything related to fishing. I think it comes down to time on the water. I think that makes a huge difference. I think the other thing too is like, messing with it and trying to dial it in, trying not to just, take it out of the box and use it, like use those settings to get through. My favorite thing, and I'll tell people this at the shop that ask about it. My favorite thing is like, I can mark those brush piles in my side scan. I can still do my traditional sonar. I can mark those brush piles, but whenever I flip around and go fish them, I'm making that almost perfect cast to that brush pile every time. And to me, that's another tool. I don't think that's the answer. You still got to get them to bite. You still got to have that bait dialed in. You still got to get them that typical reaction. But like Lake of the Ozarks last year, that was key for me to put a bait, either right above that brush pile or in that brush pile. But I think the casting is the biggest thing for me, the biggest advantage. Like I can know what I'm casting at, know how far it is, know how I'm deep in it. Like for instance, a chatterbait, you could be fishing a chatterbait and thinking you're in, 15 foot of water, and you see it and it's like 5, and it's like, no wonder I'm not getting bit, So stuff like that's been key. Like even fishing a crankbait up in shallow water, you can see that crankbait, just bouncing off stuff. You can see it come over the brush pile. I've thrown a crankbait one time where it hit that brush pile, came over, and then sure enough, that bass came out and eat it. So I think there's definitely like two sides of it. There's like the frustrating part of seeing that bait, that fish come at your bait and just be like, that's fake, I'm gone, And then there's the other side of it where like I put some really good casts on stuff and it's been rewarding and I caught fish on it. But I think it's just one of those things you've got to learn. I mean, it's just like anything else, like, throwing a chatterbait or throwing, a glide bait. Like it's one of those things you just got to, put it in your hand and either, some people don't like it because, I literally stared at the screen all day. Like it was probably not enjoyable, but like it worked out. But at the same time, like there's sometimes where I just want to go run the bank and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. It's just another tool in your arsenal, and sooner or later we're all going to need it in order to compete. And just like on the bass boat side, I think unless you're in some kind of a crazy shallow grass tournament, which there are not a lot of those in Missouri, I think you're gonna be better off having it than not. And I'm worried about that.
I feel like it helps. That helps you figure things out a lot quicker.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'm gonna try to present here.
Even pre-fishing, you could take a glide out or something, throw it over those brush piles, and if there's fish in it, they're at least move. So you'll at least know that there's fish in those brush piles pre-fishing. And you don't have to throw a jig in there and actually catch them. You can just move them around and know that they're in there.
Yeah. Troy, did you get figured out? Yeah, there you go.
All right. So I wanted to show you guys, everybody was complaining about we're limited to the west side. It's all the west. So this is 2020, and this was a KBF event, and this was the last. I think this was May 30th, so maybe a week earlier than we are. Yeah, May 30th of 2020. This was day one of KBF did two single tournaments, a Saturday and a Sunday tournament. And if memory serves, Table Rock was up like 15 feet, or it was outrageous how high it was. But I wanted to show everyone how close the inches were compared to this tournament and ours that only did on the west side. So there was just a couple 20 inchers, just like us. The difference is this tournament only had around 25% of the field had a limit, whereas in ours, we had over 50% of the field had a limit. And look at these numbers, 84.5, 84, 83, 80. Same thing, 84, 84, 84, 83, 81. So if anything, Table Rock is very consistent no matter where you are on the lake. That's what this is proving to me. And we've we've gotten better over the years. It feels like. I know this isn't all the same names. These are a lot of names from all over the country, but there's still a few in there we recognize, right? Did you see this one? Okay, here's our tournament: 84.5, 84, 83.5, 80, and here's the KBF tournament. Same thing. 84s down to 80, down to 80. So, are you guys still hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So just putting that out there. Table Rock is nothing if it's not consistent, no matter where you're at on the lake.
Fished the western part of the lake, pretty much the same area I fished this past weekend last year, and I had finished fourth in that event, so, and the whole lake was open.
Yeah, I love Table Rock. I've done really well there. Hats off to you guys for figuring it out, and hats off to you, Eric, for getting that stinking gar.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Every time I get one of those things near my kayak, it stinks for a week, and
Oh yeah.
and it's like a rodeo. You got to get out like an alligator to hold it down.
Oh, I
What was
regret
the
putting
thing?
it on the board.
How did you say you made it? You clamped its mouth down. What did you use?
Yeah, I had I had like a Velcro lure wrap that you put over your lures,
Okay.
I had just forgotten to take it off in the morning and left it in the kayak, so I just grabbed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like a bait sack kind of a.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to start taking some gar zip ties with me. Some Eric Easter brand gar zip ties with me every time.
Right, man. We might be onto something here.
Swear Engine's never going to win again now.
Yeah.
I'm switching from drum to gar now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Seriously though, some of those trash pots get up there.
Yeah.
100, 200. Is there a trash pot in the Big Bass 250?
No, there's not.
Come on
Maybe we should do a little side pot there.
Come on now. Speaking of that, who all's into the Big Bass 250?
Oh, me for sure.
I'll be there.
Yeah. What's everybody's next couple tournaments coming up? What do you got going on?
I got a river tournament this weekend, fishing the Moyak River tournament.
Okay. I'm going to need some coordinates on where you're putting in, where you're taking out. I'll need that. Just for check-in purposes, I'll need to make sure where you're checking in.
I'll drop it.
Mm.
Eric, what about you? What you got next, man?
Next will be Wapapello for me, which, I mean, that's a month out, I think.
Yeah.
Forward to
Yeah, summer break.
I'll probably be on some moving water down there.
Yeah, it'll be, we talked about that earlier today. It'll be interesting to see how the KS event and Moyak plays in together. That KS event, you can go to, I think Clear Lake's in play. I know there's a bunch of rivers in play. I think there's some conservation areas in play.
Duck Creek.
Duck Creek. Wapapello's in play. It'll be cool to see guys like, no disrespect, Tyler, but like you are a hammer on the river. So it'll be interesting to see those guys that love doing the river stuff, like stay in the river, and then guys in the lake, and see how all that plays out. I can
tell you how it's going to play out.
I think the lake's going to probably win it more than likely.
Whatever.
But I think I'll be able to get up the river.
Yeah, I know that. I know what code that is. That's fishing code for stay off my spot.
I don't really plan on winning it river, but I know I'll probably be more consistent on the river than on Wapapello. I did not do too good there last year, and that's not really my style of fishing.
You gotta lean on your strengths for sure, and go to where you're comfortable. And I'm not comfortable anywhere east of 63, so it's gonna be interesting.
Troy, what about you? What's your next event?
I've got basically one of them almost every week. So let's see, where are we at here? I've got.
Mr. Spreadsheet himself.
What do we got? We got what was the most recent was this one. Okay, I'm not going to go down to Beaver. I'm not going to do the Kentucky Lake one because I've got to go take my boy to college, check it out. So I'll do the Camo on Pommy, and then maybe Pommy on Moyak Sunday, and then Papa Bluff with you all. If I can get that Friday off, I think I will be able to. And I've got a bunch of travel for work interspersed in here, and a Nate Bargatze concert the Friday night before Camo Pommy. So that's what I've got going on.
Yeah, if you guys ever need like a tournament schedule or to plan your summer, Inky makes a in-depth spreadsheet with everything and everyone and everywhere, and so
My wife would probably like that. Besides me, the week of, hey, I got a tournament this weekend.
I have to. This is a Google sheet, and I've got to share it with my wife so she knows what's going on. Otherwise, she's asking me now, "Where are you fishing this weekend?" It's been really helpful. But Josh has so many events in Moyak this year. I don't have the Wednesday nighters or all the Sundays or the River Series and all on this thing. So I'm constantly getting surprised with, oh, there's another tournament this week. I forgot about that one. It's not on my list. So hats off to Josh Booth, best tournament director in the game, in my opinion. He's killing it. I've got a feeling that he's getting a little burnt out. We're in the middle of the season. So everybody give Josh some love, man. He needs some encouragement because most of the time he's like a duck. He's calm on the surface, but underneath he's seeing all the conversations and all the drama on the back end. So shout out to Josh, man. You're awesome. Thank you for everything you do. And Jonathan, congratulations and thank you for all you do. I know you smile like a Cheshire cat, but you do a lot for Moyak, and we really appreciate you.
No, love it. I've actually loved Moyak from day one. It's really cool club, very competitive, very tight knit group, but still, we have open arms to new people and everyone that comes along, and it's always fun. I know the year I started, Joe Hayes and I, your buddy Eric, we were running for Rookie of the Year, and he snubbed me out, and so I'll always go after him, But good, great guy. Like I remember fishing same little spot with him. He's like, yeah, I lost a rod today. I was like, yeah, but you're gonna have to check too. He's like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely love it. Appreciate everything. Can't wait to see everybody down there at Wapapello. Hopefully we get a good group turn out there. And maybe even turn out that KAS event and make Moyak on the map for that event too. So it'll be a good time.
Yeah, speaking of rookies, we've got 3 rookies in the top 25 for ALY right now. We've got Mark Dalton in 23rd, Noah Witten in 21st, and Trey Dawson in 16th place right now with 4 events, and that's with 3 events left in our series. I can't believe we're past the halfway point. This is crazy. And I've already missed 2, and I sucked at Lake of the Ozarks, so I'm out of it.
Hey, you just got to shoot for top 50. Top 50 gets to go to the championship.
That's right. That's right.
Top 50. That's doable.
If I don't, I'll go barbecue for you guys. If I'm not able to go, we'll eat good anyway. So.
Sounds like a win-win.
Thanks so much for your time, everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for coming on here, and we will catch you on the next one for sure. Thank you guys so much.
Right on, man.
Bye.
See you guys.